So that is the song So Bent You Can't Feel. This is Fam Electric Ghost. This is episode 164. Imitation is not flattery. So we've been going back and forth between using our OPZ from Teenage Engineering and using our hardware workflow. This particular song, So Bent You Can't Feel, uses some analog synthesizers in our eurorack combined with the Make Noise utility module, the Maths module. And the Maths module is amazing. So for this particular track, I had my Arturia Mini Brute 2S and my Drummer from Another Mother and my Mother 32 going through the Maths module. And I routed them into the Maths module channels, and I was using the ability of the Maths to do a bunch of different things. And it's channel 1 signal input. It can do lag and portamento and attack, sustain, release envelopes. And then in the channel 2, it basically has the ability to do some other things in that similar vein. So I was basically channel 4. So I was using channel 4 and channel 1, but we can get into that in a lot more detail. But the basic thing with the Maths module is you can play the filter kind of like a Moog ladder filter, or even like sometimes I play with the filter on Arturia Mini Brute 2S, and that's a state variable filter. And so when you take an analog synthesizer and use controlled voltage wires to wire into this eurorack module, let's do a lot of rising and falling envelope. And you can do different things with the degree of the voltage going into the capabilities of the Maths module. So this song has me kind of freehand manipulating the Maths module to get a lot of different sonic flourishes. They're analog flourishes that you definitely can hear that they're analog. They come from the Arturia and the Moogs. We're using a drum beat that's coming from an Arturia Beatstep Pro going through a JDXI. And it's I have a bunch of drum patterns that I have in chain mode, and I kind of mix them around. And I'm running that. And on top of that, the Arturia Beatstep Pro has 3 lines of sequencing. So there's a drum line going through the JDXI, and then there's a synth line coming through the JDXI that's using the JDXI's capability to do some digital synthesis. So it's doing some, pretty much like Integra 7 type of sounds that are inside the JDXI. So we're using those supernatural Integra type sounds that are loaded into the JDXI and JDXA. And so we're using those sounds to create a sequence that's running through the Beatstep Pro, and that's the primary sequence in the song. It's 3 different patterns being chained together, rotating around, and then we have the Maths running the modular synth. So we're using the Moog and an Arturia 6U. We're using an Arturia Mini Brute 2S and the Moog Drummer from Another Mother. Combined, we get this sound that's very unique, and it's kind of off the cuff, but it has structure because like the JDXI and the Beatstep Pro provide pretty defined set rhythmic structure that's very, not falling off in terms of its rhythmic capability. But then we can get really experimental with playing with the Maths module and playing with the sound of the analog synths going up and down through their range. And so that gives us a lot of different capability. Then we're using the VT4 vocoder with a studio electronics microphone for Josephine's vocal. And we kind of go back and forth between using the VT3. VT3 works really good when we're playing live because we only have one powered USB line, and the Arturia Beatstep Pro needs a powered USB to run, and we need that sequencer a lot of times on our live shows. And so the VT3 can be powered by a separate power supply, but the VT4 is only battery only. And then when you try to connect it with USB, it has to go through a powered jack for the USB connection, which is kind of disappointing. I wish they would update the firmware so it doesn't have to do that, because that ends up being a problem because even if it's got batteries in it, it wants to use power when you hook it up to the USB. So there should be a switch to make sure that it doesn't do that. I'm not sure why it does that. And then we also have found that sometimes the 1/4-inch lines on the VT3 seem to be more sensitive to feedback than the VT. VT4 1/4-inch lines are a lot more sensitive than the VT3 for some reason. So when we do live performances, we like using the VT3. And then the VT4, when we're recording, we like to use some of the new features like the harmony setting, the fact that it's polyphonic. It has a really good pitch control that you can do a lot of good pitch control on it. And it just has a lot of different choices in terms of the combinations that you can do with like the megaphone and the harmony and just a lot of other things in terms of sound. There's a noise filter on it. But we've had issues with it running on the 1/4-inch lines, and maybe we get some gold tip lines. But VT3 doesn't seem to be as sensitive to maybe lesser capable cables, so we have to look into that. But we're very excited that our brand new album that we did, which is basically the live performance that we did on Facebook Live over the weekend, is now a live album called Paddling on the River of Darkness, Looking for the Light. And it's on Spotify and it's on Apple Music. It's just one track and it's the entire 50-minute concert. We are working on a tracked version that's not exactly live. We've gone recorded a bunch of the tracks from this album and added some additional tracks. And so that album we're probably going to put out. We haven't figured out the name of that yet, but it's going to be a lot of the songs that we did in that fully fleshed out, using the Make Noise Morphogene to kind of restructure things and add flavor, having overdubs of vocals, and just changing of the structure, adding additional, overdubs from other things like the Moogs that we have. So it's just an exciting project because it really inspired us to do a lot of cool stuff. We like to do these Facebook Live performances because they reinvigorate what we do as the Ghost and allow us to come up with a different flavor for our performances. So we're very excited about what we were able to do. We have ordered the Moog Siren. It's on back order. We won't get it until March. The cool thing about the Siren, a lot of people say, well, why would you want that when you already have like a DFAM or when you have a Mother 32? The cool thing about the Siren, it's a 2 oscillator synth. It was a bass synth, but now it's got a wider range. But unlike the Mother 32 and the DFAM, it's kind of like the subsequent 37 in that it can do presets. But the presets can only be accessed if you go and get a computer. So then you got to spend $600 to get this thing and then have an iOS computer, a Mac or an Apple. But you could get like a $200, PC today. And then you have access to all the patches. And then you have access to a lot of the controls that have been extended on this machine. And the fact that you've got this 2 oscillator synth that you can do through USB MIDI, and you can hook it up to an Arturia BeatStep Pro or like a KeyStep, and then bring it to a show. You've got a very light footprint. You've got a 2 oscillator analog synth Moog that you could do really good leads and bass lines on. Because now it's got this extended range, so it's a Taurus, so it's got that famous bass, 2 oscillator bass sound. I think it's only square, triangle wave on this thing, but because of the presets and because of the different options on the modulation, it looks like a very cool synth. If you think about a small footprint, if you were a DJ and you got this and you hooked it up to your USB MIDI keyboard, you would suddenly have analog sounds you can add to your show. In addition, like what's happened is Roland has updated their brand new drum machine to be able to link up to a lot of DJ software and be able to run at the same BPM. So if you think about these new techniques, I've always been a big proponent of all electronic musicians trying to bring in more instruments rather than just CDJs. So the Siren is a good thing to be able to bring into a DJ environment along with something like an OPZ and then maybe bringing in like a Roland Axe Edge, or even like a modular synth like the Teenage Engineering 400 or an Arteria 6U. And then you get yourself some real live synthesis that you could do on stage on top of your beats that give you a different sound than everybody else, and actually have you performing electronic music in the way that Moog and always said that electronic music should be performed, not just kind of played with a button. And I'm kind of harping on that, but there's no excuse now with the Volcas and the Boutiques and devices like the Siren and the OPZs and the OP1s that you could bring smaller synth machines on stage and actually show your chops as a musician, besides just being a producer. Try to see what you can do live. And I think it's kind of like a baptism of fire when you're a musician and you're playing live. It's cool. I understand people want to hear these drops and beats in electronic EDM music, but in synthwave and electronic music that came before, which is the foundation of electronic music, live playing is a big part of it. Just like any band that I love, a lot of punk bands like Who's to Do, the Clash, the Green Day, the Replacements, Joy Division. You want to see a band play, and I understand if you're into the electronic movement where you just want to party and you're not really a pure music fan that wants to see like an Eric Clapton on stage or a Jimmy Page on stage. That's not what you're about. You're about like hearing something that makes you want to groove. That's fine. That's a different audience. I'm geared toward people who appreciate musicians. And we do talk to DJs, but I've always been explaining to a lot of DJs I talk to that you're bringing more devices on stage to actually, modify your show. And with Roland and a lot of other companies providing all kinds of things like Teenage Engineering and their OP1, OPZ, there's a lot of ways to bring things out there. Korg with their Volcas and their small polysynths. There's a lot of ways to bring real instruments on stage now that aren't as oppressive as trying to bring like a Moog 1 or trying to bring a Prophet X or, like a big Wurlitzer on stage. I'm not showing that, but you can bring smaller devices on stage and integrate it. I've seen folks do that from time to time. Different musicians are starting to do that, and I'm just a big proponent of that. So check it out. Our links for these new projects are out there. Of course, we've got The Flower That Blooms at Midnight in the Tomb is our release out there that we're pushing really hard. But we also have Wretched Symphony No. 8, which was the first record we put out this year, even though Flower That Blooms at Midnight in the Tomb was recorded before it. And now we got a third album, the live album that we just mentioned. So check it out, and we'll talk to you later.
Are you so bad they forgot how to feel? Are you so sad that you don't know what to feel? Are you so bad that you forgot how to feel? That touch by a hot spot on the thought you can't conceal. That's what's real. Are you so damn forgotten how to feel? Are you so spent that you don't know what's real? Are you so damn forgotten how to feel? Are you so spent you don't know norms and you don't know what's real? Yeah, you touch just the hot spot on the thinking of what to feel. If it out of your life, it will spill. Deep in the night, and that's the reality. That's spinning wheel. Are you so bad you forgot how to feel? Hang up your arm on a spinning opiate wheel. Try to feel. Try to feel. You can't touch my heart, I'm not on you. I got my heart, I'm not. I'm not, I'm not, even if you got it, you keep it real. All your passion and your happiness, they don't heal. And are you something that you got? Now feel. I'm not you can't cut it off. Now feel. Just being you won't really feel all the thoughts that you wanna steal. Are you so bad that reality is so unreal? Or are you so sad that you couldn't even be a man you can't feel? In your mind and web, and you can't feel. I like the fire spider going out of you as real. I like the fire, I'm feeling out of here. You can't feel. Stuck in friendzone, incomplete. It could be beyond. Desperate. Stuck in friendzone or incomplete. Why was in it go? Such tea. Top in friendzone incomplete. Never let those passions you free. Imitation is not flattery. You and me is not me. Little death is passion scream. Stuck in a friend zone and incomplete. Stuck could be eon and this big. Stuck in a friend zone. Why was Indigo such a kid? Never read like those astronauts. Solid enough for the disease. Lost would set you free. Imitation not flattery. You and me is not me. Imitation is not flattery. But you and me is not me. Little death is passionate scream. Now what's done is resumed and complete. It's done in friend zone. It could be eons in this free. Why was Indigo such a team? Never let those passions be. Never let those passions be. Solace is not just me. Doesn't set you free. Imitation is salt and battery on soul, mind, and sea. Yeah, imitation not flattery. Imitation is salt and battery on mind and me. Try to say something to me. Or that's just another me mirror. Useless tweet. Imitation not flattery. Imitation so berry. On the muse of you and me. Incomplete. Incomplete. My God, you're not very discreet. Incomplete.